Well, hello there, everybody. How you doing? A little bit of the royal scam. You ever felt like you've been scammed? Yeah, I bet. So what's up, everyone? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this fabulous journey. Thank you for sharing your energy with the rest of us. It's a groovy thing. Combined, it's a smorgasbord of all the fun things that there is in this realm. And as much bad there is good. So, welcome. Speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. No weapon formed against us can prosper. Yeah, every word spoken against us shall be proven to be false and devoid of any power to affect us. Hey, how about that? Bosto, hey, Lost in Space, what's up? Good to see good to see you. Gaia, Nina's got her show here after mine, Hump Day. David Berry, how you doing, brother? Thank you for all that you do. And Deborah Sloan. Speaking of David, next Wednesday, got the dudes coming on, man. Yeah. And it's confirmed. We got David Berry, we got David Castle, got Robert V, got Big Al, and Grandpa Brian. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And then the next day, got another guest. So I'm thinking they're going, all right. Now, I remember, and there you go. Sometimes that happens. Hey, Shannon, what's up? Good to see you. So, Go, hello. Good to see you. Loretta. Speaking of Loretta, she sent this to me, and I loved what she has done to the favor invocation. And if you ain't quoting this, well, I don't know what's the matter with you, but I love what she's done. So I'm going to read this and follow along. All these favors guide me and my family, the soul tribe, and assist us stronger and more abundantly now. Favor is with us wherever we go. Favor heals our bodies as we speak favor into our bodies. Right on. Favor allows us to heal others as we speak favor into their bodies. Favor sets apart me, my family, the soul tribe, our descendants, our ancestors, our animals, our grounds, our homes, as favored with abundance and joy. Love it. Favor is on our food, our water, our pantry, our life force. Favor walks with us when we come in and when we go out. Favor causes our enemies to be at peace with us. Spot on. That's unconditional love, folks. Favor is upon our barns, storehouses, wherever we keep our valuables to prosper and to be in safety. And I love this. Favor is upon us in everything we undertake. Favor, everything we set our hands and mind to, favor causes it to prosper. Going to be talking about that today. Favor is upon all our material property and causes it to last longer and not break. I love it. Favor protects us, our offspring, our possessions from calamity. Favor leads us to good fortune in all things. Favor causes us to be the head, not the tail. Favor causes us to come out on top, not beneath. Favor causes us to be above and not below. Favor causes us to be favored with and in the elements. Spot on. Favor causes us to be favored with and in the spirit realm. Favor causes us to be favorable to everyone we meet. They see us with favor. They hear us with favor. They feel favor towards us. Favor seeks us out. It abides with us. Knowledge, wisdom, discernment, love, compassion, luck, and joy are our constant companions. Love it. Our higher self seeks us out and guides us in all things. Prosperity seeks us out and abides with us. All energies and entities that wish to do us harm do not prosper against us. They fail in their attempts. No weapon of any kind can harm us, our offspring, our family, our descendants, our ancestors, nor prosper against us. No curse or spell holds sway over us, our offspring, our family, our descendants, our ancestors, nor prospers against us. For anything that would harm or harass us, may it dissipate. I set a hedge of protection around me, my family, the soul tribe, past, present, and future, and our collective possessions. No ill thought, word, or deed holds sway, foothold, nor prospers against us, our family, offsprings, descendants, and ancestors. I do not consent, either knowingly or unknowingly, to any force, powers, entities, presumed authorities that try to harm me and mine or the soul tribe, or are set against us in any way. Let my silence be not acquiescence to any known or unknown contract set against us or our best interest, nor that of our entire family, past, present, or future, as I do not consent to it. Let my yeas be yeas and my nays be nays. I, my family, and the soul tribe are prosperous. I and my family and the soul tribe are favored. I waste no thought on yesterday or tomorrow. I live today for today. I see what is to be seen and hide nothing from myself. I see the unseen. I know what is hidden. The veil is lifted from my eyes and allows those with my best interest in their hearts to come through and see, and I see and hear them. We are able to communicate. I connect to my higher self and all my shattered pieces. I am whole. I am one with higher consciousness. I send enlightenment and wisdom into the veil of darkness to eliminate the unknown to those ready to receive and to learn. I call upon all our shattered, scattered selves to come together and make us whole again so that we may ascend this plane and go to where we were meant to be. I send compassion, wholeness, and peace and joy to those ready to receive it, and for all the timelines and dimensions of the known and unknown planes and of all the earths. It is created in my words. What is said is done. So moot it be. Thank you, angels and higher selves. Wow. What can you say? Loretta, that is just beautiful. I'm telling you, I'm printing it out because I don't think she missed anything, and she really spot on, laser focus. Shannon, email me. I don't think she'll have a problem at all with anyone having a copy of this. Is powerful stuff. I mean, wow. Courtney, I'll see you next Thursday. Loretta, when I read this and when I just read it again, powerful. I mean, there are shock waves that go out into the etheric realm when we speak those kind of words. And when those words become the rhema, the logos, and when you realize what the logos is doing to you, and when you emulate the logos with vibration, with frequency, you are the creator. You are. That's the strange thing. That's what they've hidden from us. We are the creators. I like how she framed it. Not concerned about the past, nothing I can do about that. I'm not concerned about the future. I can speak right now. These words will impact the future no matter what. If the future is a coalescence of thought, then when it hits me, that energy, what the future is transmuted into my reality. I blend it into my reality. And it's words like that, holy crap, Batman. Love this, love it, love this soul tribe. Love this soul tribe. Loretta, just a high five, dear. Just makes me almost have tears in my eye to think that there is such wisdom in this grouping of people. And I am constantly surprised, which is a good thing, because you kind of live in a constant state of awe, baby. Know what I mean? So y'all really need this. Hey, Mary Wins, how you doing? Big Al. So everyone, I want to know, Al's wife's father crossed over. And so please send your feelings of peace. It's actually a victory. It's a celebration. It's a graduation. You know, he went through this and he graduated. His reality, his realm. So spot on. Al, we love you and the family, and we just send you our peaceful intent. And he also tells me we are in the second edition of the Soul Tribe cards. I have, and if you're fortunate enough to have one of the originals, yeah, put that in a place that, you know, where it can really last. So we're into the second edition, as I understand, and we have, I think there's 5 cards left. So it always happens that way. You get that one card that, you know, just a little bit out of alignment, and it holds the whole deck up. Someone needed to hear that. It might be something in your life that there's one little thing that is holding it all up. You need to discover what it is and how to take care of it. And I think that's about it. Al, we love you. We thank you what you're doing. Someone said that the link to Nathan's is broke, and it is. So I'm trying to get that re-updated. A lot of changes over in his part of the world. I mean, he lives in Poland, and, you know, that goes without saying that this family is around the world, interdimensional. We definitely cover a lot of planes. There's more visiting us here than what can even be credited. So we're going to get into the egregors. Chris Matthews and I spoke on this on Saturday on his show. The quote that I put in here: whoever worships a deity in your mind, you're not yourself anymore. This is the problem with worship, whether it be an unseen, undefined deity, force, entity, etc., energy, or whether it be another soul, another spirit, another being. The minute you start worshiping, praying, in a sense, because if you're praying to a God, what are you praying? If you're praying for your needs, just go buy a fucking lottery ticket. You got about the same odds. Excuse me for the F-bomb, but, you know, sometimes it is that way. Yeah. Because what we've done inadvertently, deliberately, does it really freaking matter? They're here. I was a victim to a parasitic life form known as an egregor. These beings actually exist. It's how we came into existence. We came into existence by a thought. And what they failed to teach us, but they siphon off of us, they're parasites. They literally extract the unseen essence of our life force. And the hell of a thing about it is, for the most part, we create them individually. There are those egregors that they've advanced. They're ascending. They've learned to take on human flesh. In fact, this has been going on for so long a time that we no longer can distinguish between who are the true human beings and now who are the offsprings of these other beings, these other thought forms. This is no bullshit, folks. Whether you believe it or not really doesn't matter. In fact, they would rather you not believe this, consider this hyperbole, and just move on. Because as you saw what happened on Monday, just the word alone caused a glitch in the matrix. They didn't even know the definition of this word, Microsoft, which, subsequently Google as well. AI really wasn't aware of this word until in time struck very recently. And it's a threat because if you know a name, you can play their game and then you can control them and they'll you can just claim them. I mean, and you can actually put them to death. But the thing about it is, for example, how many has a habit? Be honest. How many of you are bound by a habit? Now, you see, I came out of Christendom. That's how I was raised. And in that, we called it temptation. We called it sin. It was someone else's doing. But you're the problem. Now, whether it's temptation, whether it is a possession, an oppression, or a depression, we created it. But we're led to believe that it's something else that's out there. Well, they were right. They just didn't present it in what it really is. They used it to their advantage. And so when you become a little boy, a little girl, it's the boogeyman. It's the tooth fairy. It's a demon. It's an angel. It's Jesus. It's the devil. You see, these are all living egregors. It's all they are. No God has ever presented itself before humanity, has never physically manifested. It's a fact, and you can't prove me wrong. But the thing is, it's alive. Because you see, that's the interesting thing about humans. We have been deceived in not knowing that we are actually creators. Getting back to that habit is a living thing. It's attached to you. If you could see it, and if we could actually see with real eyes, because real eyes realize, it would drive us insane. Most of us would literally find a way to exit out very quickly, because when you see what these creatures are, and remember, many of them are basically unfolded, is the term we're going to find out. They're living and they're feeding off of you. That habit, yeah. That inward battle you have, yeah. And the thing about it is, if you have been primarily, let's say, given to bouts of depression, bouts of negativity, those egregores are powerful. Powerful. In fact, they're the ones that may oftentimes up and leave of their own accord. And then they seek others that have a stronger elixir. Does that make sense? And then they'll feed upon you. It's like getting in a toxic relationship. This is why you need to be very careful about coitus. Because you see, if the partner that you're with has these, and they're bumps, they look like, I have seen them, they look like human feces in many ways. About have the same smell too. But if you have intercourse with someone that is infested with these negative egregors, they'll attach themselves to you very easily. Because in the middle of this exchange of energy, I mean, it's a feeding ground. But we've been deceived in that. And so now we have millennia after millennia after millennia of these life forms. And they advance just like we do. We are, in essence, an egregor ourselves. We are the thought, the result of a thought, the consequence of a thought. Something, we'd like to think it's God, but you see the problem, once you put God to it, you see that activates these egregors in it's like, it's like they're on crack, because religion is their feeding ground. It's where they most of them thrive. Why? Because virtually every human being feeds into that. So, enough of my introduction. And that's why you need to do cleansing. Okay, I'll say this as well. Many ailments, and you know who really, I tell you, when I read the book, I just kind of chuckled, because the Liber Lilith, yes, CL, Liber Lilith. And by the way, I was just quoting Shakespeare to you, that's all. He was wondering, how do the cards, how do they work? Well, all I can tell you is that they do. I've sat here for a number of years and watched people like Jenny, Amber, Nina, I mean, just a number of them, and they're good. And I can't tell you how it works. Well, I have an idea, but I know it does. So anyway, someone going, really? Yeah. So when you think about this as to where it plays into our lives, into religion, the fact that we're taught that we're the only life forms on the planet. And then we're taught foolishly that we're all the same on the inside. Well, Wayne, everybody has the same soul. Well, Wayne, everybody has a spirit. No, they don't. You can't prove me wrong on it either. By the way, a windstorm, boy, we have had a windstorm. So let's get into this. Back to finishing the thought on the Liber Lilith. Lilith told us, you see, when we read about all of the offspring of her and the convoluted serpent, egregors. And then she told us they'll attach to our bodies. These thought forms, we call angels, we call demons, we call gods, goddesses. They're alive. And many times ailments in our body are because we have, yeah, you get it. I'm not going to read the chat room. I can see it is swimming in there. Have fun in there, man. That's what it's all about. All right. Got the book. If you don't want to buy it, I buy these because, number one, it's my way of appreciating the author. But two, when they're really good, I want them in my library. And this one is a humdinger. Who was it? I don't know if it was Michelle or Deborah. Someone said they just finished this book. Synchronicities, aren't they? All right, so these are the occult entities that watch over humanity. Folks, you're going to really like this one. This is by Mark Stavish. Wow, I tell you, I love the research that he has done on this. And I'll just read this. This book is dedicated to everyone who enters onto the path of self-awakening. The journey begins as a strange mix of confusion, ain't that the freaking truth, and optimism, and if all goes well, ends in clarity and joy, with a strong touch of humor thrown in as well. Laugh, folks, laugh, laugh, laugh. Let me tell you what, you can shake more egregors of the negativity off of you, because what basically you become soured milk to them. You change the polarity of your thinking, and you know how you know it's working? They're going to continue to hit you harder, like it's like you just don't have any freaking relief. That's when you know you got victory on your doorstep. It says, may this book make your path smoother and swifter. So egregors, the occult entities that watch over human destiny. These are just some of the preludes of others who've written about it. We got things we've got to do. So I've marked the first part that we're going to get into, because this is just good stuff, folks. And if you want it, you know, I'll send it to you and you can read the prologue into this. But I did find this one interesting. Again, it must be kept in mind that egregors are living beings. They must be fed and nurtured. Think about this. They are real and they stay alive because of you. This is the preamble. This is out of the Corpus hermeticum. We went through this about 4 years ago. Every kind of creature is sustained and nourished by the sun. As the spiritual world embraces the physical and fills it out with every different kind of form, so the sun embraces everything in the cosmos, rising up and strengthening all generations. And when they are spent and ebbing away, he receives them back. The choir of spirits, or rather choirs, are placed under the command of the sun. Choirs, because there are many different kinds of powers. They are set in formation under the stars and are equal in number to them. Thus arrayed, they serve each of the stars. Some of these powers are good and some are evil by nature. That is to say, in their activity. For the essence of a spiritual power is its activity. There are also some who are a mixture of good and evil. Now, I want to stop right here, because for my philosophy, as a philosopher, I struggle now with the word good and evil. Because when I read, and that's how we learn, other than by direct experience, I challenge myself to say, who is defining good and who is defining evil? I don't know if good here on Earth is the same in, let's say, Alpha Centauri. Don't know. If it's universal in that, then I have got a real problem with that, because that surely makes this nothing more than a simulation. But I digress. 14. All spirits have been given authority over affairs upon earth and over turbulences there. They cause a variety of disorders, both publicly in cities and among nations, but also in the life of individuals. For they shape our souls after themselves and arouse them by residing in our sinews, in our marrow, the veins and arteries, and even our brain, penetrating as deep as our very entrails. And isn't it odd when we speak about entrails, because most people fail to acknowledge their entrails. But if you ever become really scared, I mean, the type that life-threatening type of scare, what happens? Your entrails let loose. Yeah. 19. Woo! Through these instruments, God himself, and there's the masculinity with the denial of the feminine, creates all this, and all things partake of God. Since this is so, they are God, capital G. Therefore, in creating all things, he creates himself, and he can never cease to create. For he himself or herself never ceases to be. As goddess has no end, so his or her handiwork has neither beginning nor end. So this is class, folks. So I hope you're here learning as well as having a good time. So I like this because the argument is hard to debate against. One of the chapters in the Gospel of John, chapter 17, is a discourse supposedly from Christ. But again, what's interesting is the subject of the discourse. Because if you read that chapter is saying exactly this. There it is. And again, this is why we know the book is written in a cryptic code. In that chapter, it basically says, Jesus says, you are God. I acknowledge you as God. Because if I'm in you and you're in me and we're in it, then you are God. And the other thing is that this creator never stops creating. Neither do you and I. Our very thoughts. I think scientists estimate most of us have somewhere, I think about 20,000 thoughts a day, maybe more, some less. We're creating. We're creating vignettes, fanatism, positive thought, black magic, spells. All of those are thought forms, egregors. So if God us, is creating all the time, and if you were created by a creator, then you are a creator. Double tense, both created and creator. All right, introduction. Angels, women in war in heaven. The gods do not like it when one of their cattle should be free. Yeah, we're rogues. Many of them don't like us. And as we become more powerful, we've become greater than they are. There are many gods who I've kicked their ass. Some have given me some pretty good bloody nose, but you know what? Payback's a bitch. Yeah. It's just that I don't pay back in the same way. For those interested in the academic study of the esotericism, the concept of egregors may seem to be seen as a quaint relic of an earlier time, a holdover from our ancient past, and therefore little practical consequence. For those on a spiritual path, any spiritual path, being introduced to the concept of the egregors is often a life-changing encounter. Instantly, many old ideas and experiences are made clear, and a field of questions opens up before them. They re-examine their path in a new life and find that regardless of their being part of an organized group or a solo practitioner, large areas of their practice were under the indirect or direct influence or one or more psychic entities of which they were completely unaware. Could be argued that recognizing angelics, calling them by their name, the same thing with the divine ones, the daemons, we're giving them energy. And they use that energy because their network, I mean, this is like multi-level marketing. I mean, they're at the top of the pyramid, you know, their levels are expanding out. Now, many of us who have been at this a while, others for much longer, so have ours. Oddly enough, as you get more into the occult, the hidden knowledge, and begin to learn the pagan ways, you become more powerful. And it's interesting because the team starts building. Many of us have, you'd be surprised, we've got stadiums filled of spirit entities that are on our side. Now, many of them sit there bored because we never asked them or put them into, a working relationship. Anyway, but it's true. It says, and for those engaged in practical occultism, that is the manipulation of energies for some kind of spiritual or material result, egregors are often nothing more, often nothing new, but rarely understood, as too often they are given the status of a priori goodness. Many groups speak in veiled but confident and positive terms about their leader or group, and by extension, its members, being connected to a powerful egregor, an inner contact, or some similar term. When examined in the light of this monograph and more traditional ideas associated with egregors, these students can reevaluate their connections to these invisible forces and decide for themselves if these contacts have been beneficial or detrimental to personal awakening. Little time out here. In fact, we'll get right back in this because this is an interesting point. There I am. By this reasoning, through the collective consciousness of this group, and we've proved that we can do this collectively, we didn't even need a lot of people. It's very evident that we may have tapped into or may have, in fact, potentially created our own egregor. Think about it. This egregor would be very positive, be extremely powerful at this point. And as I've been thinking on this more and more, spiritual entities exist. We know that. I'm talking. I'm one of them. You're listening. You're one of them. We have potentially a power partner, a living entity that has dedicated itself to this group, this collective. Very interesting. We can't simply slough this off. I know some do, and to me, they're not initiates. They're just, coming through and listening. Hopefully one day they will be. If not this cycle, then the next one for sure. But think about this, folks. The core soul tribe, we've created something here. There can be no denying it. And it's a connection that is palatable to many of us. You know, I think of Jenny, there's just a number of people who in my normal day, the thoughts will hit me and I'm beginning to think, okay, then there's something up here. We've done something here. And why wouldn't we? There are some powerful people here, powerful spirit beings that command a great deal of respect, but also hold within our hands a power source that, let me just say this, other groups that have found theirs, wonderful things happen. Interesting, David. Let's talk about this next Friday. By the way, David's going to be finishing up his reading on the Celestine prophecies, so check him out on that. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this as a group, because I am pretty well convinced that we've done this. Many of us probably weren't even aware of it, but we've been growing it, nurturing it for well over 5 years. I mean, think about that. Okay. Shall we continue? Yes, but yes, let me know your thoughts on this. I mean, I'd really like to hear it. I think if the ladies are getting together on Friday, this would be interesting as well. I'm trying to read the chat, and let me get back to the subject matter at hand. Okay, as we pick up, what is an egregor? The word egregor is Greek in origin and derived from egregoros, meaning wakeful or watcher. The word is found in the book of Enoch, wherein it is described as an angelic being. The book of Enoch is ascribed to Enoch, the grandfather of Noah, and while non-canonical, it has attached some theological and historical interest by major Jewish and Christian denominations for a section of it known as the Book of Watchers. In this section, as we all know, is thought to have been written around 300 BCE. The only exactant version that exists is in the South Semitic language of Giza, or originating around the Horn of Africa. While the original text may have been in Hebrew or Aramaic, no complete early text in either language survives. That's a problem. So what's the problem with most of these ancient texts? There's no originals. They're gone. But we're supposed to take it verbatim, right? Yeah. No. The main themes of this book, held in common by many mystics, practitioners of the occult, and even Christian fundamentalists, concerns 200 fallen angels and their interbreeding with human women, the subsequent creation of a race of giants. We've studied these in Nephilim, Raphaim as well, whose destruction in the biblical flood receives mention in Genesis. But they weren't destroyed. That's the problem. That's the myth. Otherwise, how did David and Goliath, how did they do the tango? Anyway, and a coming apocalyptic battle between good and evil. The mention of the Nephilim from the book of Enoch is as follows. And remember, no one is ever going to win in this battle. Good will never win. Evil will never win. They self-annihilate the minute either one does. All right, let's read. And they became pregnant and bare great giants, whose height was 300 ells. Actually, this is 3,000 cubits. Yeah, excuse me, which translates out to 4,500 feet, nearly a mile tall. Anyway, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds, the beasts, the reptiles, and the fish, and devour one another's flesh and to drink the blood. And Azael taught men to make swords and knives and shields. And there's so much I could go down that rabbit trail, but we're not. We'll stay on the path here. And breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working with them. So just to add a comment here. So there's been this war with these creatures, this whatever the hell they are, angels, demons, I don't know, but apparently they've been at this way before we ever came into a thought form. Yeah. Bracelets, ornaments, and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids, all kinds of costly stones and all coloring tinctures. It's kind of odd. I mean, if this is what these angels were all about, then, you know, you got to think to yourself, well, maybe you do take something with you. I mean, listen, they seem to have the whole thing about the gold, you know, precious stones. I mean, what's up with that? And there arose much godlessness. And they committed fornication. So it means the angels, they do the nasty. That's all I got to say. I got myself an angel. And they were led astray. Well, I mean, who's to blame here for all this? We didn't do it. And went on to say, Simjaza taught enchantments and root cutting. Aramos, the resolving of enchantments. Bar Rajila taught astrology. Who is that? Kobabel, the constellations. Ezequiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Araquel, the signs of the earth. Shamsiel, the signs of the sun. And Sariel, the course of the moon. The most commonly used definition taken from the Wiktionary is the follow: occult, autonomous, psychic energy, composed of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. However, there is a second definition, an older, more significant, and perhaps frightening one. Here, an egregor is more than an autonomous entity composed of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. It is also the home or conduit for a specific psychic intelligence of a non-human nature, connecting the invisible dimensions with the material world in which we live. This, in fact, is the true source of power of the ancient cults and their religious magical practices. A home, a conduit for a specific psychic intelligence of a non-human nature, connecting the invisible dimensions with the material world in which we live. Moni Sadhu, the Polish occultist of the French-Russian Martinist lineages, defines an egregor in his seminal work, The Tarot, as a collective entity, such as a nation, state, religions, and sects as their adherents, and even minor human organizations. The structure of the egregores is similar to that of human beings. They have physical bodies, that is, collectively, all the bodies of those who belong to a particular egregor, and also astral and mental ones. The egregor being the sum total of all these elements. This goes back. Ancient knowledge, I can see why it's not taught. Yeah, it's not something that is pleasant to think about in one way. Excuse me. There was a researcher named Godwin who traces the origin of egregors, at least in the West, to the Semitic beliefs of the ancient Greeks and Romans, and the intimate relationship between ancient cult practices had on daily life as well as foreign affairs. This is critical because here we see that every aspect of life has a sacred component to it, and that in the proper execution of one's duties, the visible and invisible worlds are kept in harmony from a perspective of classical religion and with it, politics. I find it interesting in this aspect that as when we were learning about sigils, symbols, we know what sigils do, the energy that they actually put out. I think we can now say pretty clearly that as these collectives come together, corporations, companies, I think this gets down even to personal relationships, that there is a whole realm that is watching, mirroring, maybe multiple realms, maybe a realm sitting right here with us that is actually the antithesis of everything we do here. Since the study of these relationships and their method of implementation become a specialized focus of the priestly class, these rituals and their attendant sacrifices were considered vital in the health of the family, community, city, even the empire, or later a nation. You see, that's where patriotism comes in. And, you know, if you let that one come in, well, we've all seen that. Within this larger collective body, the individual lived their lives and performed their duty and experienced their destiny as the gods dictated. The work of various cults in a world in which the average lifespan was 35 years of age was primarily to aid in the gaining of favor of the gods in an environment where material well-being and health were essential, and in which little medical science existed for the preservation of life and limb. When this fact is combined with the dominant notion of little or no hope of an afterlife, the general belief in the ancient world, with Egypt being the exception, making most of what lifespan had, was critical. I mean, the idea of us having a soul, the idea, all of this is, you know, really for the elite class. Modern man is considered the elite class. I was thinking today as I was showering, the very thought that we can take a shower is a relatively new luxury for mankind. Literally within the last couple of 100 years, the regular use of bathing became commonplace. 400 years ago, that was not the case. Even the rich, the elite, stunk. You think about it. You have hot water at your disposal. That would have been considered a freaking miracle of God 400 years ago. The fact that you have immediate access to hot water and the cleansing of our body has left, along with the advancement in science, have obviously had a positive benefit, longevity. People now live well into their 80s, 90s. Some are getting older, longer. And then there's also the opposite is true. But so I look at this and realize that, I don't know, we get so numb so quick. That's all I can say. Gowan points out, There is an occult concept of the egregor in term derived from the Greek word from watcher. It is used for an immaterial entity that watches or presides over some earthly affair or collectivity. The important point is that an egregor is augmented by human belief, ritual, and especially by sacrifice. If it is sufficiently nourished by such energies, the egregor can take on a life of its own and appear to be independent, personal divinity, and with a limited power on behalf of its devotees and an unlimited appetite for further devotion. It is then believed to be an immortal god or goddess, an angel, or a daemon. Buddha, Christ, Muhammad, they never have lived at all. But they may have taken on the flesh themselves because of the belief of their followers. This gets really interesting. And again, I'm drawn back to what Lilith was trying to teach us in all of this. Many of us probably got this. All right, the egregores were formed to watch over city-states, the republic, and the empire itself. This sounds like freaking Star Wars. Luke, the Force, the dark side. I mean, now they've elevated. I did a video, I guess, nearly 5 years ago, talking about how Earth was divided up by 10 of these super intelligent entities. Yeah, as long as offerings and devotions continued, the prosperity and well-being of the city or empire was thought to be assured. However, if new cults came into being and the energies of worship were directed elsewhere, the agreement would be broken and the egregor would cease to support the land and its people. Esoterically, this can be seen as the reason for the collapse of the Roman Empire. When its old gods and goddesses were no longer sustained by the people, they in turn could no longer support Rome or its territories. In short, the spiritual death of the Roman Empire can be seen in what Godwin terms the natural tolerance of polytheism. By accepting new religious practices insofar as they did not challenge governmental authority, the slow draining off of energy from traditional cults and their attendant egregores began. But it doesn't end there. The real death stroke lay in the nature of these new religions. These mystery cults from Greece, Persia, Egypt, Palestine, and Syria offered something Roman religion did not: personal salvation, or rather, survival after physical death. Wow. To me, this is freaking candy. Love it. Based on these metaphysical premises, Godwin suggests, and we agree, that for a city, nation, or empire to exist, even a religion, a god, a savior, its devotees must be focused on life in the material world to some degree. When their direction is turned otherworldly, the cults of family and state, the cults of the blood, become weakened and are simply a jumping off point for the individual instead of an end in themselves. When combined with the demands of time and intellectual and emotional commitment that mystery religions demand of their members, initiates of the secret way, little or no energy was left for the traditional egregore. All right, I'll leave it off here. We're going to pick up here the three questions of what we're going to get into. the implications of this across the board is just, if they exist, and they do, I mean, you look at how nations rise and fall, religions, belief systems. No political party would be able to exist if it wasn't for the fact that these are probably some of the most powerful egregors that are out there. They are way up on the food chain. Why? They're like any denomination. And the problem with religion is that when religion became organized, it divided itself. And once a religion becomes divided against itself, it doesn't stand. And as a result, for instance, in Christianity alone, there's 30,000 different denominations worldwide. So you got 30,000 people or denominations with people in them. They're all worshiping different egregors. And that's the problem. You got, saying, hey, how about you believing in me? Okay. Thank you, Mary Wins. Yeah, this is heavy stuff. I mean, it causes you to think. And, now that I can recognize, and I'll just say this. So when the negative thoughts come a-knocking, now you can open the door and literally say, what's up? Oh, I see. Takeout. You got two choices, as I told one here recently. You got two choices. You can leave. I created you. You can leave of your own volition. Or if you stay, you're going to die. Because I'm going to kill you. I'm going to sacrifice you. I'm going to sacrifice you to myself. The energy that you have drained off me, I'm going to transmute that energy back. Gone, baby. Out the door. And I said, if you ever come back, there won't be a second chance on this. Interesting, Linda. Love to talk about that as well on Friday when we get I hope the ladies are coming on, getting used to them. Hey, Dick, what's up? Good to see you. House divided itself cannot stand. Absolutely. Well, all right, folks. Today was a good day. There's a lot of good stuff covered here today. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did as well, because this is some good stuff, Maynard. That's all I got to say. Indigo Alien, our relationship with our respective creators are so unique. It can be argued that the creator itself may not be limited to one entity. Yeah. It gets really interesting. Thank you, Deborah. Much love to you, dear. Lost in Space, thank you, David Berry. Appreciate you, brother. Make sure to tune in, David, as he gets into his readings. I mean, I love this group. Powerful group here. It's an honor to be amongst a group. And, I know that, groups, when they begin to form, but hey, I don't care. This is a well-balanced group, and love is the one. Hello, Jules. How you doing? Julia Rose. I love that, darling. That's a great handle on that. All right. Until tomorrow. Nina comes on right after I do in an hour, so tune her in, and we'll see you all tomorrow. And remember to follow us over on Rumble, Odyssey, Spreaker, soon to be on Telegraph. All right. Much love, folks. Peace out. Love always wins. That's all I got to say. Unconditional love is the answer. If you pass over and you're ever standing before that gate, and the question comes to you, what is the one word you need to tell them? Unconditional love. 2 words, right? All right, folks. See you tomorrow.